Well, hey there. Happy day 1056 of What's She Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. Now, I'm thinking about PP, Christmas, measurement, tomorrow's Get Up and Go challenge already. I started writing that before I mapping that out before I even popped on to talk about today, what we did today. Well, today for the Get Up and Go challenge, we talked about the P in the SOAP framework. Let me go ahead and grab that. The P in the SOAP framework, and that, of course, stands for progress. The SOAP framework is something that I've adopted in 2020 and used for, this is now the fifth 30 plus day Get Up and Go challenge we've done this year. And it stands for story, options, action, and progress. And it's just a framework that we can use, any of us, anyone can use to help us deal with any change, any challenge, any upset, any setback, any good thing or bad thing that happens to us, to guarantee that we'll have better results after that experience than we were experiencing before that experience, or we're having before that experience. Now, how can I say that? How can I say that with 100% confidence? Because I have done it literally tens of thousands of times for myself and with other people. We've walked through a similar framework, the exact same steps, but we didn't call it, I never called it before in my coaching and consulting, the SOAP framework. That was a COVID thing that came to me as I realized how much I was washing my hands and paying attention to cleanliness, health, sanitation, wiping off every surface of everything that we had come into the house. I mean, kids came back from Colorado and I made them strip down in the garage before they could come in, because we were also unaware of what was going on with this pandemic. And we still are. I still think that there is so much misinformation and so much that we don't know, and so much that we're, hearing through the grapevine of 12 iterations or 20 different news outlets, that it's hard to know what's true, what's not, what's actual, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And amongst all of that, there's so much manipulation and misinformation and nonsense going on that it's really ridiculous. Now, I picked this filter today on purpose. There is not a single filter, and this irritated me. A couple things irritated me as I was getting ready for my content creation today. One was when I Googled Christmas came early this year, which is one of the idioms. It's the idiom I did for Supersize Your Business today. I got really irritated. All of the results that came up for that were actually what I considered a little bit offensive, or talked down to people that would be searching that. I wanted to find the history and the origin of the saying. The closest I could get was that, and I worked on it for like an hour this morning, and maybe an hour yesterday. I was looking for and tracking, online you get a little sidetracked. I ended up, Christmas comes but once a year. I got on the track of that, which we'll probably talk about tomorrow, now that I already researched it anyway, kind of as an aside. But Christmas came early this year. The closest I could find to actual origin was that it originated in New Mexico, northern New Mexico, as the result of a breakfast burrito, a Christmas breakfast burrito that has red and green chilies on it, that when you eat it, it immediately, or very near after eating it, has an effect on your digestive system that I'm not even going to talk about. The other examples that were given online were, you would say, oh, Christmas came early this year whenever there's a happy or a good surprise. Like when you get a hot date, or you have a date and he's really hot or she's really hot. I don't know, but I can think of a whole lot better examples of Christmas coming early this year than a hot date, right? And maybe it's just me, but it seems like it's just like the massive dumbing down of society in America, the way Google is serving up answers to questions these days. And it's always been one of my favorite go-to things. If I ever had a question about something, what's the first thing we do? And I learned this from my daughter. She'd say, Google that. And and then it was just an expression the kids use. And so that's what I started doing. So now when I want to know how to do something, I just look it up online, how to do it, or find a YouTube on it. And it's served me really, really well up until, this year, where the results are just disappointing at best in some instances. The other disappointment is the lack of Christmas filters. There are no Christmas filters, zero right now on my Facebook Live, the options that are served up to me. How can that be? In the past, there have always been Christmas filters. I think it's really pathetic and sad that there should be all different holiday celebration filters. So we'll see what happens. Maybe next week, maybe they'll pop up Monday or tomorrow or something. Maybe they have a schedule where different filters appear. So that's why I picked this one. This one, at least we have stars in our eyes. And I guess on the 21st, I think that there are two stars that are lining. I want to say Jupiter and Neptune or Saturn. I don't know which. I can't remember. I remember briefly seeing it. And so for the first time in 800 years, the North Star, or it will appear like as bright as or brighter than the North Star when the two planets and Earth all align. So I'm actually going to figure out how I can see that, maybe a telescope or something, but I want to make sure that we get to see that. I hope it's not a cloudy day, because I think that's kind of cool. It will be as bright as the star when Jesus was born, apparently. Although there's some controversy over when was Jesus actually born. They've never even ascertained exactly what year he was born. It was either 4 or 6 BC, but they're not sure. They're not even sure when he died. And so that's real. I find that fascinating. Also researched, celebrating Christmas, and I learned a couple of interesting things. I never knew or realized that Christmas was actually outlawed in the city of Boston from 1659 to 1681 because of the Puritan culture and the Puritan beliefs. They outlawed Christmas. That was subsequently reinstated, but it was never really celebrated until the mid-19th century. And in 1870, it wasn't until June 26, 1870, that a law was passed in the United States that Christmas was actually a holiday, a federal holiday. Now, I think President Trump added Christmas Eve onto that, which I'm all for. I think that it's important that people be allowed to celebrate and spend time with their families on normal years when we haven't been spending all of our time with our families. At least a few days a year, right? And some days a year, not, I think it's, I don't know, if we're up to 9 or 10 federal holidays now, but I think that that's important. And I think that there's been a de-emphasis on kindness and decent human behavior toward one another, morals and values, and that it's important that at this time of year especially, we remember why we're here and that we're all beings of light and love in the bottom line, and we need to remember that. And sometimes we forget in our day-to-day activities and competition and global nonsense that's going on out in the world, especially if we watch the news. I gave up the news in the 1980s, and I'm so glad and fortunate that I did. One of the best trainings I ever went to early on in my corporate career was called Louis Tice training, and they challenged us for the week that we were in that training program to turn off the TV, to not watch any television that week. And it actually just stuck with me. I realized how much a time suck consuming television is. Now, I still watch some shows on Netflix and things with the kids, or when I'm exercising on my exercise bike, or posting my videos, or doing work that doesn't require my 100% attention. I would never have the TV on if I was doing a coaching or a consulting call, or working with somebody on something. That would be just ludicrous and ridiculous. Although I have made videos with YouTube in the background when I was watching my granddaughter, because I didn't have my videos done when she came over. And I always want to create my content and then deal with disseminating it later on. So the Get Up and Go challenge today was about our physical well-being, and how do we measure that for ourselves. Now, you have to pick whenever you're working on any challenge or change that you want, especially if you're working on, we're doing global aspects of ourselves, like we're doing our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationship, or contribution, those big areas of our life. Those are the 7 key areas that I found. I learned them from Tony Robbins or someone else in my early 20s, and kind of paid attention to them. A lot of times didn't. Certain aspects of my life I let tank, like my health and my physical well-being. And so that's why it's a big area for me personally. So we're going through the SOAP framework, SOAP, one day at a time, for 3 of those aspects and areas of our life: physical, financial, and relationships. Why? Because those are the 3 biggies that most people struggle with, or have a desire or a need or a want to impact right now. I can personally attest to the fact that if you don't pay attention to your health, you are screwed. You are in big time trouble, because at some point it will catch up with you, and your physical well-being will force you to pay attention to it. And when you do, it's usually not in the way that you would want or imagine. But then again, just like any other change or challenge, you can find that you're way better off after that change than before it happened, no matter how heinous or bad it seems. Unless, of course, you pass away, and then it doesn't matter anyway. So physical challenge was about measurement and how am I going to measure. And I shared that I actually do write things down. And I just have Post-it notes. I talked about how sometimes I forget to write down my water. Like during COVID, I decided to get lazy and not do that, and realized, thanks to my daughter reminding me, that I'm drinking way too much coffee and not enough water. So I decided, what's the best way to get that as a habit again in my life? Put a cup of water where I'm going to walk by it frequently. Every time I walk by it, I drink it. When I drink it, I put a little hatch mark on my paper. And then before I know it, I'm to 8. I usually only count up to 8, and anything else is just gravy. So I'll drink my 8 glasses. And if maybe some days I'm super thirsty, I'll drink 10 or 12. But other days I go by and I notice, and if I'm on 7, I haven't gotten to my 8, right before bed, I'm having that last glass of water with my bedtime pills, or supplements, I call it. Actually, I take 1 prescription, and I take that at bedtime, because my sister stayed with me when my dad was really ill and passing away. And she reminded me that I was a heinous you-know-what when I took my pill in the morning. And that's when I actually learned. Sometimes we need other people to tell us what they're observing about us as well. And so I switched that up, and I asked my doctor. He's like, nope, you can take it right before bed, because it's a 24-hour time release thing. So the negative impacts of that, it's called metoprolol, it's a beta blocker. The negative mood impacts, which is a side effect of the beta blocker, I would sleep through most of those. So by the time I got up in the morning, I was my usual self. I wasn't as growly or ornery or bitchy, as my sister would say. So it could have been her behavior and my response to her in some aspects, but I didn't want to tell her that. And it benefited me to switch the time that I took those things around. And actually, that's when I started to really play with the different supplements and things that I take, and really take into account, how is this really impacting me? And I had to do it like a science experiment. You can only change one thing at a time if you want to be able to see if there's an impact or not. Some things I couldn't distinguish the difference between until I stopped taking them for a period of time, like 2-3 months. I would not take something, and then I would realize, oh, I'm feeling off, and then I would add it back in, and I'd immediately feel better. And so then that's how I came up with the supplements that I take now. There's nutritionists, and they can test your blood, and they can do all these cool things now and tell you what you need more of or what you need less of. But the bottom line is, it's always up to you to know what's best for you and to do what's best for you. I think there's some amazing statistics about prescription medications, and doctors will prescribe them, but I can't remember, it's a horrible percent of people that actually take them as prescribed and as directed. It's way under 50%, which is mind-boggling. I mean, if you're taking a prescription, you're taking it for a reason. You got to take it like directed, or you're not going to get the effects and the impact and the results that you want. True of anything else. So we have to come up with ways to measure what matters to us, what's important to us. And I was reminded today that it's not just measuring for the sake of measuring. We have to find things and ways of measuring that we can control, number one. And number two, that are meaningful to us, that mean something to us and will motivate us to continue to do them and move and make progress toward the results that we want. For example, in my younger years, I was very diet conscious, and college and right after, and I had some health challenges, so I weighed myself every day. And I was taking some heavy duty medications that caused me to gain a ton of weight and retain a ton of water. So it was very depressing and demotivating to weigh myself every day. And even though I weigh myself at the same time every day in the same type of outfits and whatever, my weight would still fluctuate. Sometimes it'd be 10, 12 pounds a day, and I'm like, what the heck? And for somebody small, it was really demotivating. So along the way, I decided I didn't want a scale, and I wasn't going to use my weight as my measure because it didn't motivate me. Now, when I was small and thin and not taking medications, it motivated me. But when I had that switch and the change in my environment, it became a demotivating factor. So I had to change the habit or the behavior or how I was measuring that. So tomorrow we are going to hop right into the SOAP framework for relationships. Normally I have a day in between to decompress and let people ask questions and things, but I want to make sure, and with the holidays I know people are going to miss things, I want to make sure we get through all 7 areas and aspects of our life with the SOAP framework. And I want to do 4 days on relationships. So I've got 4 days on financial 4 days on physical, 4 days on relationship. And normally I do a break day in between, and we talk about, hey, what's next? What are you going to do now? What is most important to you? And ask for feedback, and then select the next group. And I did that for the first 2, but for this one, I'm like, nope, this is the third one we're going to do. And then we'll spend 1 day on each of the other 4 areas and aspects of our life. And we just mush the whole soap and 4 tools into 1 day. I'm pretty positive those will be longer than 10-minute videos. Although I think I'm probably maybe 50-50 on the under 10, over 10. Remember I said early on I wanted to keep them under 10 minutes for the video. And sometimes if I'm sharing stories, if I'm giving examples, it just goes over. And I think that's okay. It doesn't go a lot over. I think the longest one has been maybe 13 minutes. I could be wrong about that. I'll check. I don't care. It doesn't matter. All right, what else? Fun challenge today was about, I don't remember. I totally don't remember. Totally lost it. Let me see. I didn't write it down. It was about play fun. Oh, it was about play fun, having fun and playing and doing something and remembering to have fun. Jerry Seinfeld, to remember to play every day and have fun. So that was our fun challenge. So we got fun challenge, supersize your business. Christmas came early this year. And didn't you notice? Christmas, people are going all out this year. I don't know about shopping and things, but Christmas trees, Christmas lights, Christmas in the stores, the few that I've been to or seen or heard about, you know, it was before Halloween this year that Christmas stuff was coming out and popping up on the shelves and things. Maybe because the shelves were empty and they had the space, but also I think to give people more time to spread out and make the season longer so that people could get the things they need. So many things are sold out. Normally there'd always be these huge after Christmas sales and there'd be all this overstock of things, but what I'm hearing from the people that are out going shopping, not me, sorry, I'm not afraid of COVID. I had my COVID scare, got my negative test result back, and I saved it because I'm like, yep, I am actually one of those negatives. And I honestly believe that my test would come back positive because I am 100% sure that I had COVID last Christmas. The one day I could not get online for any videos was Christmas Day last year, 2019. And I was out of commission pretty much for 3 weeks. Still did my content, still did my things. I haven't gone back to look at those videos because I'd probably be horrified at how I looked and sounded. But I had the cough, I couldn't breathe, I had all kinds of challenges. And when I finally went to the doctor, of course, they didn't know anything about COVID by, around the first of the year, so nothing. They got nothing. Finally called back and said, hey, everybody in my family's got this, and I need those cough pearls, whatever, I can't remember what they're called, but those were definitely a godsend. Those helped me out. So if I can get through this, we can get through this as long as we get the care and the treatment, and we be careful for ourselves and for other people. I want the world to open up and people to go back to being themselves and doing what they can do. And, excuse me, not a COVID sneeze, just a tickle in my nose. And I know that and there's certain people in my family that we love and care about that we have to be more careful than other people. That's my responsibility. That is not the entire country's responsibility. A topic for another day. All right, that's all I've got. Go out, make it an amazing, fun day. I am actually, for the fun of it, going to wrap Christmas presents today. Going to hang out with my granddaughter a couple days next week. I hope, if my son will let me. And we are going to have fun with our cousins. There's some Florida cousins coming up that we have not seen in, I want to say 2 years. I think it's been 2 years since we saw the Florida cousins, 2 little kids. And their dad is deployed. Don't know where because it's a secret. So he is deployed for the Air Force somewhere for another few months, and he's missing Christmas with his family. I think they miss a lot of holidays and birthdays and things, but I don't know that either one of them have ever missed Christmas with the kids. Their kids are 8, and my granddaughter's, or not my granddaughter, my granddaughter's 5, so my niece is 4. So I think they're 7 and 4. I don't know, 8, 4, 7, and 4. I have to keep track. Actually, my nephew just had a birthday on November 28th, so I'll have to figure out how old he is. I think he's 8 and she's still 4 because she was born in March. Anyway, it's hard to keep track. Once the families start growing and getting bigger, it's hard to keep track of everybody's age, everybody's birthday, everybody's everything. Unless, of course, you write it down, which I don't always write down. I forget. All right, any questions? Any way I can help you? Anything that you're working on or struggling with that you just don't know who to ask? Might not know the answer, but I'm glad to help you know what the next right step is for you. Take care. Catch you tomorrow.